it's useless as it is for a boat captain to know the water, but by knowing the waters and how it
He
moves, it
means
tells you where to go. It
Trevor. But
allows you to be
listen,
more powerful.
but listen. I can explain that exact thing that he's saying there. I can explain that to you and what he means by that. What he's saying in that sentence is he's saying that in the same sense that a boat captain knowing that the water is made out of quantum physics, knowing, that's the key word, in the same way that boat captain knowing that the water is quantum particles is useless. In the
There
same
is a
way,
huge bantamweight
knowing,
matchup this
or in
weekend
other
in the
words,
main event of UFC
fuck,
Fight Night Vegas
why is
60, and that is
MMA
Corey
Guru talking to me
Sandhagen
right now?
versus Sonya
The
Dong,
YouTube app
the
isn't
number
open.
4 bantamweight in the world.
What the fuck? A random video on YouTube just started playing, even though YouTube wasn't open. And when I swiped down on the home screen, it didn't even show a video playing. That made no sense at all. Anyways, it's not happening now. But so to explain the thing you were just talking about, so that boat captain knowing, all right, believing, knowing that the quantum particles is useless to him because that is belief, that is Christian belief, that is faith, right? That is faith beyond power. Okay. I'm gonna start calling faith belief beyond power, and then belief with power. Do you see what I'm saying? So faith is the bad one, belief is the good one. All right.
Oh, I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna write that down. Say it again.
So faith is the bad one, belief is the good one.
But what was the definition of it you were giving?
Faith is the
Belief.
one. Yeah. So faith is the one which is like faith is the one with like which a Christian would do, like faith, like I believe because I know, and you can't tell me otherwise. I just know, and it has nothing to do with power.
Blind faith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was called that?
It's got the texture of what I've always imagined the ideal food.
So back to what we were talking about with the boat and the belief. So you have blind faith, like you were talking about. So in other words, that the blind faith is the boat captain knowing about the particles, right? Like that's blind faith. It's like it doesn't matter. That's literally what he means. Is in the same sense, right? That the captain. Oh God, it's literally perfect. It's literally right there on the language. It's in the same sense that the boat captain knows about the particles and that gives him no power. In the same sense that he knows about the particles and that doesn't help him steer the boat. That is exactly the same as knowing about God, but that knowing about God not giving you power. They're the exact same thing. And what he means is blind faith by knowing about God, but knowing about God not giving you power. So that's what he's saying.
Are you saying that it's the intellectual understanding of it that's the problem? Whereas intellectually knowing, yeah, that this ocean is full of quantum particles, that doesn't help you.
Yeah. Okay. I need a fucking chalkboard. Hold on. Let me go get a whiteboard and a marker. I think I can make this visual. Okay.
I know there are Nietzscheans who think he's got a metaphysic. I know there's Nietzscheans who think he doesn't. I would love to see those guys debate each other.
I'll tell you this much. There's a 100% chance that I am right about this. Let's see here. You have the boat. All right, how am I gonna express?
At the end of the day, I think he could have worded it a bit different.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but I genuinely think that that's probably.
Or he could have added some elaboration.
I think it's probably an issue of translation, and that he did probably word it perfectly in German.
Perhaps indeed. And I wonder what different translations looks like.
Yeah, that would be very interesting. Like different translations of the Tao. Okay, so you have boat particles not useful equals blind faith. Belief in God. I mean, yeah, you don't even need to see the chalkboard. Just in very simple terms, it's boat particles not useful. So think about that. Boat particles not useful. They're not useful to the guy steering the boat. Him knowing about quantum physics does not matter. It does not make him more powerful. It does not get him any closer to the Übermensch. Doesn't even help him across the river so that he can get to the other side to go build the Übermensch, right? Gets him nowhere. Nowhere practically, right? It may get him a thought texture, but it doesn't get him anything beyond that. No power, right? So that's blind faith. That is the boat particles. And those boat particles are the exact same as belief in God. Belief in God. So eternal recurrence or a metaphysic, that's fine. But when you believe in the metaphysic, when you think that the metaphysic is independently true outside of the power, that is whenever it is an issue. Yes. No. I think what Nietzsche said could have been much better summarized with my statement, which is there's a direct relationship between truth and power. I think that's the much more elegant way of mathematically saying it.
I'll have to do some research.
I'm definitely right about that. There's a 0% chance that I am not. That is like
I
I don't know how to explain it. There are times when I just feel it. Like I can feel metaphysically. It's like, oh no, I'm right about this. I don't even know how to explain that.
but do you understand what I'm saying in the sense like the paragraph seems to connotate that like even regardless if the God in the metaphysics is there, knowing it is inherently not helpful. Like that connotation is
No.
seemingly there.
Am I
And like he's got the idea of the science of it. So like whatever is going on under
Hold on.
HTTPD.
Yeah. So what you were just talking about, where you were saying it's like he's saying that knowing the knowledge is inherently useless. No, that's not what he's positing. He's not positing that just knowing it is useless. He's positing. So in other words, this is what he's saying. Knowing about quantum particles, okay, when you're dealing with something about quantum particles, then that exact same information is useful. He's saying that if you're a quantum physicist and you're trying to predict how the incoming asteroid is going to hit the planet, then yeah, sure, quantum physics are great. Then you should know about the quantum particles. But whenever you're a boat captain and you're steering across the lake, you shouldn't know about quantum particles. You should not learn about that. You're wasting your time. You should learn about the wheel of your boat and how to steer it better, buddy, because you're a boat driver. That's what he's saying. Is like you should be reaching towards the Übermensch. You should be always reaching towards more power. You should have a will to power, and everything that you do should be oriented through that will to power for reaching towards the Übermensch. And that boat driver, if he's thinking about quantum mechanics while he's driving a boat, then yes, that is useless. He isn't reaching towards the Übermensch.
But okay, quantum mechanics in itself has a certain connotation of metaphysics. By him saying metaphysics, to me, it sounds like he's just saying metaphysics in general, not the study of it and the intellectual idea of the particles within it, but just the idea of it. And I think having your mind on metaphysics, your mind on God while doing any activity would make that activity inherently better. So by thinking of metaphysics.
But Trevor, he literally posits the exact same thing with eternal recurrence. That's exactly what eternal recurrence is, and he would admit that himself. He literally has quotes about that in the comment section on the Sam Hyde post. Literally about how eternal recurrence, what that is it is a metaphysical idea in which you should always be pondering it. It should affect every aspect of your life, and it should make you appreciate life in a whole new capacity. That was literally God. Literally, eternal recurrence is literally his conception of God. It's our conception of God, for fuck's sake.
This boy must have been real lost in translation. I just that paragraph has always irked me.
Well, I mean, to be fair, until I went on sub 1, I thought the exact same thing you did. So I can't blame you there. I mean, I literally always thought the exact same thing about Nietzsche. That I mean, to be fair, some of his books, he makes it sound exactly like that. Like Beyond Good and Evil. I mean, I remember coming out of that one with a reinforced idea that he hated metaphysics. Um, but yeah, I'll have to reread that book now that I have a new understanding. But anyways, the reason I can understand him now is because I now understand his will to power, and I now understand his Übermensch, and I now understand them as two separate concepts, which is the new will to taste and the new fucking divine taste. So now to go over that, will to taste versus, and write both of these down, because these are concepts that need to be on the list, because I'll ask if I even talked about them in like an hour or two. So you write down will to taste and will to power, and then divine taste and Übermensch, if you would. Someone do that.
Will to taste, will to power, and what?
Will to taste, will to power, and then divine taste and Uberman.
Okay.
What the fuck? Hold on, I think I've lost my phone. Okay, we're good.
I'm over here.
So will to taste and will to power. Just a moment. So, to start off with will to taste and will to power.
1 moment. Sorry.
You're good.
All right, go ahead. I was reading a Nietzschean paragraph.
So with will to taste and will to power, you have the will to power, which is obvious. It's Nietzsche's whole shtick. You know what I'm saying? It's that everything is reaching towards power, and how that is understood through will to taste. I've already explained will to taste, but I need to explain them in relation to each other. All right, this is going to be difficult. Okay, I'll start with the other one. That one will be the good starter. I'll start with the divine taste versus Übermensch. So Nietzsche believes that the will to power is for the Übermensch, right? Übermensch is the most important concept, and then the will to power is like one of the ways of reaching towards that, right? Well, first of all, not exactly. I mean, he believes that it's sort of more of like just a truth that everything is a will to power. But then he also
Would he describe it to be that everything has a will to power, and the human that fully maximizes the potential of his power is the Ubermensch?
Yeah, that's a perfect explanation for what I'm trying to say here. Yes. And then with the divine taste, man, that description fits in well even with mine. But as far as a modified version of it. But so with the will to taste, or I'm sorry, with the divine taste. The divine taste is the equivalent of the Ubermensch, but it's complicated because it isn't a person. It isn't striving towards creating the perfect person. It's striving towards God. And what that means is incredibly complicated because it means that like it's the Ubermensch will be created by striving towards the divine taste, because if you are always trying to get better in every conceivable way, if your goal is to reach the best taste, if your goal is to reach towards the best taste which you can possibly ever achieve, and you understand, you're meta enough to understand that what your purpose is in life, what you are here to do is taste the best you possibly can for God, and you understand that your whole life goal is to better yourself in every conceivable way to get to that best taste, right? And you understand that, then what you'll also understand is that, like I said, your children need to taste better, and you'll understand that the future needs to taste better, that you need to change society, you need to change everything, you need to change the way businesses are structured, you need to change the way the economy is structured, you need to change the government, you need to change yourself, you need to start working out, you need to start reading books, you need to do all of these things so that you can taste better and that society can taste better next time around and next time around and next time around. And all of this is to strive towards God, is to strive towards the divine taste, towards betterness itself, the divine ideal of perfection. Plato's fucking will of
The
forms, whatever he
good.
called it. Yeah, the good, the one, whatever you want to call it. You're in striving towards that.
That's what
Just
Plato
strive.
calls it.
Oh, he does. He calls it the good.
He also calls it
Interesting.
the one. I mean, he calls it many things, but that was one of the things that made me think of what you were just talking about, because like it is completion, it is whole, and in relation to us, that looks like a happy, healthy
Perfection.
society.
Yeah, and it's like you in every moment in striving for this in striving for this divine taste, you will not only create the Übermensch. So I have already rectangle square. I've already principle of mutual exclusivity. I've already beat Nietzsche because my concept includes his and goes farther, because mine not only talks about what we will become, but it says to reach even beyond that, to reach even beyond the best man. You're reaching towards something which we literally can't even fucking comprehend yet. We're reaching towards totality itself. You know what I mean? It will literally never end. There is no end goal. There is no Übermensch at the end of the line. The goal is to continue to always be that bridge. As Nietzsche said, the beautiful thing about humanity is that we are a bridge to something greater. The goal is to never stop becoming greater, ever. And it's just like, what a fucking beautiful idea for humanity. What a beautiful way to summarize what is the point of life. The point of life is to get better until you become God. I mean, it's like, of course that's the fucking point. Of course it's the point. Um, but yeah, so
I,
that is the
I have a, if you're not going to say something important, I
no,
have
please.
something about divine taste that I'd like to say.
Yeah.
The pattern recognizer, my brain's going off. It tells me if we had a word for divine devourer, I think that would be cool. Just who you are.
I'm trying to think of what do we have a word which would currently be replaced by that? Like, what is the current closest thing to that? Is Zix the closest thing to that currently within our?
That would be kind of like that's the title of Zix. Zix is titled the Divine Devourer, perhaps. It's his role.
I like it. I do want to find out exactly where it belongs within all the vocabulary, though, eventually. But I'll go ahead and move on that for from that for right now. You should write that down.
Yeah, wait.
Go ahead.
There's one other problem. I don't know if you get this idea, but every single time I create an idea, my brain kind of simulates in both direction of complete meaning and complete meaninglessness, because like every idea I have is completely meaningful to me, but like in the grand scheme of things, like just one idea, it's just, in the changing world, this world's gonna die, perhaps no one hears this. Like both rings out in my head, and it's kind of interesting. I don't know. So like everything, and it's kind of coupled with the idea that like I'm going to get like hit by a bus tomorrow. These ideas just shouldn't be, or by putting them down, I am setting myself up for doom. They're not going to get out. It's just inherently
I know
flawed.
that
Like,
one. I relate to the first one in a weird way, which is like I almost stopped with that. It's almost like my last sub one experience obliterated that thought from my head of like now I'm left only with complete meaningfulness. The meaninglessness has been kind of sapped from me, but maybe that's a temporary sub one thing. But I know exactly what you're talking about with the feeling of just like this will never actually touch humanity, will it? This is never going to get out of my head. It's impossible. Like something is going to get in the way forever. Forever until I die, until something kills me at the age of 21, right as I'm writing the first sentence of my book. You know what I mean? I know exactly what you're talking about with that. I wonder what that is. Well, what that means metaphysically, but I know that feeling.
yeah, it seems like the what should be going on is like, oh yeah, my ideas are going to live forever. I'm gonna be the one on top, which it used to be, but now it's like, oh, I just it's just too good to be true. I feel like I'm gonna get bit by a spider or something. I'm gonna
Yeah,
die.
bit by a spider is such a funny way to put it. It's such like a primordial childish, but it's also like exactly what would happen. It would just be like the wasp bit, except you get stung in the eye and just perish like the cat. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, truly, yeah. I wonder, but yeah. So that to me ended recently when I understood Nietzsche because it was like I don't know how to explain it. It was like it was um. Only way these aren't even the right words, but it was like someone else completely got it. Someone who wasn't me or you, someone who was completely in a completely different place and time, they got it. And it was like, at that point, the meaninglessness was no longer there because someone else outside of who had ever talked to me, or you would ever talk to me. You know what I mean? And vice versa. Someone who was ever outside of our self-referential loop and our timeline and our eternity. Someone who's completely devoid of all of it. They were there too. And it was like that fixed the meaninglessness almost, because it was like there was another reference point. There was something else to bounce my ideas off of, and they gained meaning from how beautiful they were in relation to the other person who got it. I don't know. That's a very rough way of putting it. It's not very good at translating what I mean, but it's interesting. It's like my most recent sub one experience made it where I so fully understand things that there is no more meaninglessness, and I understand the meaning of things, and the meaninglessness comes just down to, yeah, yes, these thoughts may and very well could and probably will become meaningless in the tide of humanity, but humanity is fucking rabble, and like I don't know. I don't know. I now less than ever feel the need to appease humanity. Feel the need to be. I feel more and more like Nietzsche every day, where it was like, I'm just gonna write the prettiest things ever as like a fuck you to everyone I've ever met in my entire life. That was something that I felt so heavily on sub one, was that if I saw anyone, they were going to become like a sort of punching bag for all of humanity. Like I couldn't even interact with other human beings because like literally other than you, every single other one of them was like such a massive disappointment that it was just that like I couldn't even like I don't know. Like the concept of humanity would have gotten placed on the shoulders of whatever human I came in contact with. That just vile hatred, complete and total hatred for what we are and our inability to change into what we should be. Like whatever human being I came in contact would have become. Like in other words, and here's what I imagine it as, because like it wouldn't have been like my parents or someone I knew, but in other words, like if I was taken into the psych ward, it was just like the idea of just laughing and just understanding how puny he was. You know what I mean? It's like you are the epitome of the problem. You know what I mean? You are holding me here. You don't understand. You are the one of the symptoms of this issue, which is eating us as a people, and you can't see it, and I can see it. And it was like that was the other thing which made me feel like I was going crazy. It was just that feeling of like I can see it all. I can truly feel it and see it all. And if I explained this to someone else, I would be locked up. You know what I mean? I don't know. I really did feel
So
severe
when were you
mania.
having the mania?
Hour 3, 4.
I see.
Yeah, hours 1 and 2 were pretty good, and then hours 3 and 4 were pretty bad. And it wasn't even bad because it wasn't bad in the sense the other ones were bad, where it was like, because things were still beautiful. Like I was still capable of being like, yeah, those trees are beautiful, and still like, oh yeah, man, this song is really pretty, and I'm still capable of feeling ataraxia. I can still understand that things are great, but at the same time, there was just the nagging speaking, which would cut over the greatness, the beauty, which was interrupting like a loudspeaker, blaring in my ear as I was trying to appreciate the leaves. And it was like the thing which was speaking, my brain which was speaking, it was also humanity, and it was also the issue. And it was like, it just needs to shut up. It needs to silence. And I don't know. It was so many thoughts. It's weird how someone does that. I tried to explain it, and I explained it in one way, and I'm like, that's true, and that is one of the ways I was feeling. But also, there are 8 other ways that I was feeling at the exact same time that were all wrapped up into one thought texture. Genuinely,
Hmm.
another time, I'm gonna have to reach for it. The fucking audiobook. You have the octopuses, and the way that they're capable of displaying several different emotions, several different thoughts at the exact same time using colors. They're displaying color fractal patterns, and those patterns display multiple different meanings simultaneously. And it's like truly, that's what sub one feels like. You're not like you're not like what's it called, railroaded. You're not railroaded into one way of thinking. Your brain isn't trying to form its way down into a linear thought path. It's thinking 80 different things at the exact same time. It's thinking many things in one way. It's one thought texture which expresses 80 different microcosms of thoughts. You know what I mean? That's a really good way to explain someone, in my opinion. Um, and it's weird that this fucking guy explained it with sci-fi octopuses. Like, damn, right
Yeah,
on. Um,
probably
but
done it a few times.
yeah, I mean, truly, you got to read those books soon. I was reading them again today. I've got 15 minutes left. I'm so sad before this. I'm done with the second book, and the third book isn't going to be out for another like month or 2 months or something. Um, such shit. Um,
Hmm.
January. How many months away is that? It's like 4, isn't it? Oh God. Oh Lord. Ooh, that's so rough.
Yeah.
God. You're very lucky you have those books in front of you, because fuck, they're good. Fuck, they're so good, and not just so good, they're perfect. They're perfect. I'm gonna try and think of a criticism. Um, nope, don't got one. Yeah, I really don't. I
I
really
was
don't have
wrestling.
one. I really do not have one. That is unbelievable. Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing you would change about it.
No. Okay, things I would change about it. That comes down into yeah. Uh, what just happened? Dorothy? Awesome. Awesome. What were you saying?
Hmm?
Okay. Okay, sounds good. So um uh yeah, I mean, as far as criticisms go, it's like there are subjective things. Like I just I wish if I could change something, it would be I wish I could see what this guy would do with a Banksian scale. I wish I could see how he would portray human societies, sci-fi human societies millions of years in the future, that every single person is completely technologically advanced, and I want to see how he could handle a Banksian adventure, an adventure across the cosmos. I really would like to see that. Really, what I want to see is in the same way dubstep artists do a collaboration, I want to see a Banks Adrian Tchaikovsky crossover. That's what I want to see. Because Adrian
That's something that would be really cool. That like with books, if they were more popular, of course, and they're advertised and stuff, that'd be a really cool thing. Or just little mind melding, or crossovers, or just cool stuff
it
like
really
that.
would. It would be unbelievably fascinating. Yeah, that would be fantastic. But I mean, truly, that's the only criticism I have. Like my criticisms come down to you are so good. I wish I just could have seen more from your beautiful brain. That's the only criticisms I have. Oh
Yeah.
my god. Um, but yeah, a crossover because what Banks did was he would do an adventure which took place over the course of like 5 days, and he would go into unbelievable detail about those 5 days. And it's interesting because Tchaikovsky will do the exact opposite. He will instead of doing small time, vast space, Tchaikovsky does small space, vast time. He'll do thousands of years and go over the evolution of a species over the course of a literal million years, but he'll do it in the most beautiful, detailed, isolated way as possible, where you're going over the entire history of a species, and that's what the whole book is. It's just the history of an evolving, beautiful species, which is finding their place in the universe. And so it's very interesting to think about it in that way, because I think that really is the perfect description of the dichotomy. Is that Banks is massive amounts of space, 5 days of time, and Tchaikovsky is one planet, but millions of years. Incredible detail in both of them. So damn, great fucking books both ways. Both of them, I really don't have any criticisms at all. For Banks, I do have the one criticism, which is you should have stayed off the backwater planets, you fuck. But that's it. That's the only criticism I have. And even that criticism is like you did the backwater planets well. It's just that your brain was so beautiful that you had a targeted skill set, and you shouldn't have strayed away from it because you were just too good at what you were good at. It's like if you were a
Hmm.
dubstep maker and you made some decent rock music, you know what I mean? It's like it's not even that you did bad. I can't even criticize you for it. It's just that you did that one thing so much better. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's what I say about both those. But start with Adrian Tchaikovsky. There's only two books right now. It's only two books. That's not that much reading, and they're religious. They hold perfect religious metaphors. They're perfect. They're just beautiful. They're just gorgeous. So I highly recommend you start with those. I recommend you do either 30 minutes or an hour a day. That's what I did, and it was hard for me. It was difficult for me to not do more a day. It was like addictive. Um, but uh, but yeah. Um,
I'll definitely have to check on it.
but so yeah, I'm just gonna start going through Boxer, going upwards. Um, Well, no, I suppose I should finish what I was talking about before, which was divine taste and will to taste. So yeah, you have the divine taste, which is like beyond Übermensch, right? It does all of the things. It does all of these things. It explains God. It withholds. So it holds Nietzsche's eternal recurrence. It holds that simultaneously as positing the Übermensch. It does that in one fell swoop. So already I've just beat Nietzsche at just like mathematical logic. Um, he was just as right as I was. It's just that like I got it better, more smooth. You know what I mean? Um, and that's the divine taste. And then you have the will to taste,
All right, so
which go ahead.
I'm sorry. The Ubermensch have the connotation of an individual or beings. The divine taste is like it's not even like a noun. It's like a divine tasting. What is that? How does that relate? Like, what is the divine taste? Is it something that you do? Or is it something
Okay,
you become?
okay. So this is something I completely forgot to explain. The divine taste is the thought texture of God. Just think about that. So the thought texture of God, that perfection, that unlimited perfection, right? Just God, just the feeling of God,